Okay, so let's start off by introducing ourselves. My name is Carl.
And my name is Fredrik.
And we're gonna spit some truth at you today. We're here in Stockholm, right by the beach. And we thought of something today. Most people, when they start their business, they start on a passion. So we want to talk to you about, so you followed your passion.
But now what?
Now what?
What do you do when you followed your passion and you get stuck?
So, to get some context around this, first off, we talked about this before we started this video right here, and what we realized is most people, they start their business and they spend a long time on their business plan, and then they get a website made, and then a Facebook page, and then they get a Twitter page, and then they get their office, and then they start hiring people, and then a business cards gets made, and they do all of this before they even get one sale.
Which is totally wrong.
Yeah. So let's get a another example where someone actually would start by getting one sale, or like the first 3 sales in their business. So let's say you start a animated video business, maybe, and you start by contacting your uncle or something, and you sell him an animated video, and then you contact your best friend who's got a business, and you make an animated video for him. Now you already got 2 testimonials, 2 animated videos that you already done. You got a portfolio with work. Now you can use that on your website, and you can use that to sell your next product. And then you can start finding ways to market yourself, and that is a much more healthy way to get started in your business. So when you started your business, Fredrik?
Well, first when I started up my business, I actually think I was mostly devoted to like the style of my picture, and just evolving my style and my way of making photographs, because that was what I mostly did back then. Now I'm doing video and stuff. So I think my focus has shifted as my experience has gradually been growing, and I've been getting better. I'm getting more focused on how to get the client's attention instead of just making pretty pictures, and also been focusing more on the storytelling as well.
Yeah,
because the storytelling and getting more clients goes hand in hand, I would say.
Yeah,
and that's one of the things that most people they overlook most of the time.
And to be honest, when I started out, I had no idea what I was doing. And nobody probably does. Like when people they think they know what they're doing, and they have this idea of, I'm gonna be the next Steve Jobs, or like the next big thing. But you probably don't have any idea of what you're doing. And even when you've done it for about 3 years, you still have no idea what you're doing.
Because you may produce awesome work, but very few people that are really talented actually go out and make a name for themselves, because they can't talk for themselves, or they don't know how to properly introduce themselves.
Or maybe it's even scary to be in front of a camera like this in the middle of like this big crowd of people. It is scary.
It's really scary. but that's why you need to do it.
Yeah.
Because each time you do something like this, you evolve.
Yeah.
And that's really important. I still feel nervous when I have meetings and stuff, but I do it. Yeah. I think that's the biggest difference between people that will succeed and not. That those people will push on and try the hardest,
even if it's the scariest thing ever. And you are going to fail, so that's not even in my point of view at all anymore. Like I knew I was gonna fail from the start, and you always do, and you fail about 1 million times before you succeed. But the difference between the people that fail and the people that succeed, the people that fail, they give up. So if you keep going, you're going to succeed someday, even if it takes 20 years. That might be a very boring and not very tempting answer, or like sexy answer,
yeah.
if you say that. But the first thing to do is still to make a sale. If you, as Fredrik said before, if you don't show your face, who's gonna trust you to produce something? A lot of people, they won't even try, which is even weirder, and they won't even try because they're scared of what people would think of their work, because it's not good enough yet.
And they're scared to make a mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is even weirder.
Because that's the thing. People that are successful, anyone from Steve Jobs to Anna Leibovitz in the photography business, they have all failed a lot of times. And I have failed a lot of times, and I've done stuff that ended up taking just enormous amount of time. I didn't get anything done, but in the end I learned something from it, and I learned to do things more simply and more simply, more refined, I think.
There's something very interesting about this video right here, because we actually did this video once and we failed miserably.
We were sitting down in the studio.
No air.
No air.
No lights.
We hadn't seen the daylight for all day, and we were trying to get us pumped up to do this video, but it just wouldn't work.
Didn't work. So we rescheduled, and we chose a better day and a better spot to film this, and I think it's better. We can talk about some examples of people that actually failed and that you now know are successful. Let's take a little company called Airbnb. When they started out, they wanted to make something totally different. I don't remember what it was, but they wanted to make an app, I think, about something. And so they decided to work from home, only work on this app, and they didn't get anywhere with the app, as much as I know about. But they didn't get very far with the app, and then they ran out of money.
Yeah.
Now they had an apartment to pay for, food to pay for, and rent, and all these different things they had to pay for, but didn't have any money. So what they did was they started to rent out, what the name says, basically, air beds and breakfast. So they got some people to come over, and this wasn't their business plan at all. This was a totally different way to just get some money, like fast money. And so they started doing this, and people started to really like this, so they developed an app around this. But still, after doing this, they were not done. They didn't make any money. Nobody really wanted to sign up on their app, and it was like one of the apps in the App Store, like one in the crowd, basically. So they found a new way to, or they realized what the problem was. They asked their customers what the problem was, and they realized that the problem was when people looked at the pictures of the houses and the apartments, it didn't seem trustworthy. Like they didn't look like a serious business. So they started giving away free pictures of people's apartments. They got photographers to go over there taking pictures of people's apartments, and and they did it for free so that they could get better pictures on their app or their website, of course. And after this, the company went really well. They pretty much succeeded. And the difference between people that you see that are really young and succeeded is that they just started a little bit earlier than you did.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. That's why it's not enough to just follow your passion. When people say follow your passion and the rest will come, the thing is,
most of those people that say that, they haven't had that experience in the first place.
Right.
They're just the wish. What do you call it?
Wishful thinking.
Yeah, it's just wishful thinking.
Yeah. And so what it should say is, follow your passion, then work your ass off until something happens.
And when something happens, you get one job, and then nothing happens for another half a year, and then you get an opportunity, and then if you work really, really hard and your wife tries to leave you, then you will succeed.
I've slept many nights on a sofa while working, and done what we call in the business all-nighters. I used to do this thing when I went to school where I slept on only Sundays. And I stayed awake for the whole week just working, and then I slept on Sundays. That is also something that you shouldn't do. It might sound very sexy, like, I slept only on Sundays and I worked. The thing is, if you do that, your brain you turn off your brain basically, and then you don't work. So it's like you stay there for a week at school or at work, and you just work on this thing and you get nowhere. And then in the end, on Sunday, you sleep, and on Monday, you're good again and you can work really hard, but that's the only day that you can work.
Yeah.
And that's why it's good to have a girlfriend or a boyfriend to go home to that gets angry at you when you don't get home at the right time, sort of, because you need your sleep and you need food. And yeah, even if it sounds like a very cool thing to do, to just work and work and work, because that's what Steve Jobs did, it's not always right.
Yeah, and I have another great example of how when you really need to work hard. I actually started out sleeping on another man's couch. And the story is as follows. When I graduated from photography school in Stockholm, I was tried to get the job as a full-time assistant at several photographers. And I think I applied for jobs for actually 2.5 years. I started working for a big photographer named Trond Ullberg. In the beginning, I didn't have enough money to actually have an apartment. So for the first half a year or so, I slept on his couch. It's to save money. And here I am 2 years later making this video. And now I have an apartment and a girlfriend.
You actually have an apartment.
I actually have an apartment, my own apartment.
Yay! Well, so to sum this up, if you want to just follow your passion, starting your own business is probably not for you. What you need to do is actually to hustle and to work.
The only thing that's true when people say follow your passion, that the rest will come, is that if you follow your passion, most of the time you will work harder than if you just did something for the money.
Stay hungry, stay foolish,
stay motivated,
and we'll see you next time.
See ya.